Hey YouTube. So I'm at a point in my transition where I am, it's hard to explain. If you're trans, you probably have experienced this as well, or maybe you haven't gotten there yet, I'm not sure, but there was a point in my transition where I was worried about whether or not I was going to pass, and whether or not how passable you are when you begin. You're always going to probably go through this phase. So the worrying and the self-consciousness that I experienced when I first transitioned about being passable and people thinking that I was a woman or, you know, anything having to do with that is sort of fading away, which is good. I think a lot of it had to do with my comfortability in transitioning. Now I just sort of am, you know, I just sort of am a woman, and it was really me concentrating on all of that as opposed to other people. And of course there might be, you know, a person here or there that might, you know, look and think, or maybe not, I don't know, but I think I'm sort of, generally speaking, I'm over that, or I've worked through it in some way, so that's good. But so this next part of my transition, I've been sort of getting in touch with my feminine side, I guess, and that I find myself needing validation for my looks. So now I've finally accepted myself as a woman, but now I'm sort of thinking, like, who would, like, find me attractive? Not just you looking at me, but as a trans woman, or as a big, like a big beautiful woman, BBW, or however you want to say it, you know, whatever the euphemisms are. I'm fat, basically, is what it comes down to. So, not only am I having a transition of gender, but I'm also having a transition of, you know, my physical self. I'm changing. I'm losing weight. You know, I've been heavy, not necessarily this heavy, but my whole life. But so I'm also transitioning into, you know, becoming somebody smaller. So I'm at the point where, yes, I've accepted the fact that I'm a woman, and then I also am getting thinner, and looking at me, I've become sort of more acceptable, because when I was, when I was, you know, heavier, I think it was sort of a defense mechanism. Like, I used my obesity as a means to not have to deal with anyone, because no one, of course, would be attracted to me. So it was, you know, it was a good defense mechanism. But now I've broken through those walls, so here I am questioning, like, well, who would be attracted to me, you know, who? So as I mentioned in other videos, or in one probably, I do have a boyfriend. We've been together. It's complicated, but we've been with each other for 6 years now. So he was with me throughout, you know, before I decided to change and all that stuff. And I guess that the details of our relationship are really inconsequential, so I won't go over them, but I guess I'm not getting that validation from him. And this is something I thought about only yesterday, and I have yet to talk to him about it. Actually, I've been meaning to call him, but he's been busy or whatever, so this is definitely something I'm going to bring up. But but I'm just not, I guess, getting that you're pretty validation, or, you know, I don't know what it is. I just want to feel attractive, and I think it's a stage. It's something that not only women, but men go through it, but I think women go through, tend to go through it a little more. But, so I found myself, and this sort of transition that I'm talking about right now, this my transition within a transition, or my phase, is not what the video is about, actually. I'm building up to something, just, bear with me for a sec. So, I found myself going on, first I found myself going on a BBW site and seeing what kinds of men actually like big girls. Like, are they normal? What do they look like? Would I find them attractive? Like, I was just curious. So I made a profile, and I said, that I was not single. I was looking for friendship, everything, and I'm communicating all of this to my boyfriend and everything. So definitely making it safe. But I was just curious. I was just curious that there was that. I didn't know why I was doing it yet. Yesterday I realized why I was curious. So, I told my boyfriend that this is what I did and everything. He's like, yeah, that sounds cool, that sounds safe. I could understand your, he's really supportive of my transitioning, so he said, I can understand it's maybe part of your process, So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool, thanks for understanding. Then I heard of this chat roulette. It's something I heard of a long time ago, but then I experienced it, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll get some more validation, like random guys will come in and they can sort of, I'll get a sense of, do they find me attractive? Would random people ever, find me attractive? Or what would they think when they saw me? I don't know. So I was just like, that'd be a good tool to use. Well, I was completely wrong. It makes perfect sense to me now, but what would happen if you combined, anonymity with the ability to just click a button and do away with whomever you're talking to, with no strings attached, no responsibility, nothing? Well, you'll get pretty base, and that's all it is on it. It's very there's a lot of throwing around of genitals and everything, and so I definitely will not be using that as a tool, a validation tool anymore. But when I was on it, I was shocked by just the lewdness of it. But there was strange, I found validation in that as well, because I would click next or whatever, and there'd be these guys or a group of guys would be like, oh my god, she's pretty, shows your tits and all this stuff, and very lewd, and I was just like, what the? So I would click next and stuff like that, but after it sunk in for a while, I was like, okay, well, obviously I wasn't horrifying to them, or, there must have been something about me, they wanted to see my boobs. I guess that is, I wasn't abhorrent to anybody, so is that a good, I don't know. So that sort of validated me. I don't need to be particularly felt like I was like attractive or mesmerizing to somebody, but I guess it made me feel better about myself on some just base level. So anyhow, decided I'm not going to do that. This is just too much. And again, I told my boyfriend about it. And so then I tried, actually, and this happened last night, and I have yet to tell my boyfriend, but I went on a trans site specifically for trans women. So if you notice the pattern, actually, of it gets more close to me. Like, first I identified as a big girl, and then I identified a big and a woman, and sort of up and personal, but I hadn't yet revealed that I was trans. And then here is just sort of like, on this trans website, I'm trans, big, all this stuff, so every aspect of me. So I was just sort of taking, step after step, and now I was sort of putting it all out there, physically speaking, and I just was curious, like, well, what types of guys are interested in me now, So And I'm getting, responses, and they're not like, they don't look like weird people, and I'm not, again, I told them I'm single and not interested in anything but, platonic relationships, and so I'm not replying to people in any seriousness, or I haven't replied to anybody at all, but I was just sort of curious, but then I felt guilty about that. I felt guilty, like these emotions that I'm getting, whatever's satisfying about these emotions that I'm getting, I should be getting from my boyfriend. So that obviously is something that I will need to talk to him about, so we can work through that. And because I felt guilty about getting those emotions from somewhere else when I know in my heart that I should be getting them from him. So anyways, enough about that. This is actually what this video is about. So it got me thinking on that trans side. Like, some of the guys on there, actually, some of them are really good looking. So it got me thinking, I'm like, why would you want a trans woman? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong, but I'm just saying, what is it about a trans woman that specifically attracts you? Why not go to like a regular website and say, I want a female? I mean, if you're, props to you and kudos to you if you don't care if the women that contact you are trans or not. That's awesome. But to specifically go out and look for trans women, that is curious to me. That I'm interested in what's going on in those men's heads. Like, what is it about them, or what is it about us as a trans, community, or transgender or transsexual that interests them? I don't know. I've been thinking about several possibilities, but I kind of, maybe if somebody could shed some insight, or has any ideas on that, or maybe you can tell me if you're watching this and you're interested in trans women yourself. What is it about a trans woman that attracts you to them specifically? Like, why would you want, imitation crab when you can have the real thing for the same price? Like, at the same restaurant. Like, you don't have to go to another restaurant and you can pay the same price, but you order the imitation crab. Like, what? Why? So I don't know. And I'm sorry if the analogy offends any trans people out there, but you're gonna have to deal with it. I mean, just stop being so sensitive. But yeah, I was just curious about that. It just makes me wonder. So if anyone could share some insight, that's what the question of the day is, if you will. So yeah, leave some comments or whatever about that. Updates for me: I lost 6 pounds. I know I lost 150 before I came here to this new city, and so I was on vacation while I did that. So I took a vacation. It was probably like a month and a half, and I did some vacationing. And on vacation, you tend to eat and not give a shit about anything. And boy, I sure did not give a shit, and my ass and thighs paid for it. So I gained. I didn't gain I didn't gain like, 50 pounds back or anything, but it's definitely, I sort of set myself back a few, so I'm working on losing that I gained back from the vacation, and then some, but all considering, I'm at 6 pounds lost, so I've been on sort of this strict-ish regimen for a little over a week now. And at my size, people are like 6 pounds in a week, but that's pretty typical. The bigger you are, the quicker you lose weight. So about my size, if I'm really active and really sticking to my diet, I can lose about a pound a day. So that's good. And other than that, work's going well. Everything's great. I just that was really on my mind. So please feel free to comment, and I will talk to you guys later.